Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the 2019 prequel book, Stranger Things, Suspicious Minds. Came out 2019, 301 pages. Has a prologue, has an epilogue. Starts out June 1969 and ends November 1970, something like that. So this is the story of Terry Ives, Eleven's mom, Jane's mom, how she became part of Dr. Martin Brenner's experiment in Hawkins' lab and stuff, right? This book, how do I say these words? The structure of the book was great, okay? There's like 12 chapters in 300 pages, but each chapter is broken up into segments. So there's like, 8 sub chapters in the chapter. There's 10 sub chapters in the chapter. Loved it. Thought it was great. I liked the introduction of these newer characters. Terry's in this program with Ken, Alice, Gloria, the four of them do a great job, trying to figure out what to do. Callie is introduced into this. Callie is introduced into this as a 5-year-old. First going to the lab, we know that Callie is Eleven's roommate with regards to the flashbacks from the second season. And so, and then Callie, and it winds up in Philadelphia at some point. That's where Eleven meets her and retrains the powers and stuff, right? So, we know certain things. We know Terry had 11 and Brenner took her away, and she was convinced that she was told that the baby didn't make it, but she heard Jane cry, so everybody lied. And then we get the flash forward of her breaking into the lab in season 2 as the flashback with she had the gun to then get Jane out. But then it's also revealed that her plan was to also get Callie out within regards to this. Fine. We learned the backstory in regards to that there's other kids in the lab, other subjects are in the lab. Brenner is an absolute horrid person, which we knew in general. And I love the introduction of these new characters who we never see again. And that was my problem with the Hopper book, The Darkness on the Edge of Town, or whatever it was called. Because we get these introductions to these new characters, and we don't hear of them again. So my concern with that is in regards to the character development, because I don't know what happens next to these characters in regards to this franchise. Now, why this book was awful. That was the good. Down to the hard. I can't grasp the concept of who approved this because the timeline is wrong. And I don't understand why someone would just put something together, have an editor agree to it, and people from Netflix, who owns the IP for Stranger Things, to say, yeah, it's got our name on it. It's gonna make bucks. And it made bucks. But the timeline is wrong. This takes place between 69 to 70, right? June 69 to 1970. We also get full things in regards to Eleven's dad. We know who he is. Andrew Rich, who went to college with Terry, and they were in love. And then Brenner rigged the system, the lottery system, where his birth date was picked in regards to being drafted to Vietnam, because that's what they did back then. Lovely country that we live in. It's a horror then moment 2 months later, he's then killed. And so Terry now has to figure out what is she going to do with this newborn who doesn't have a father anymore. Things, right? But we get Andrew's character. He loves the Lord of the Rings. He's very kind and accepting and just a generous person, right? Amazing character. Who's gone. So I like these characters, okay? But the timeline is wrong because we're introduced to our characters in 1983. Season 1 is 83, Season 2 is 84, right? Season 1 is... When did Will Byers disappear? November 3rd? November 6th? One of those days? 83, okay? And that's what the Upside Down is stuck in. Oh, the other thing is the Alice character calls the Upside Down the Beneath, which I thought was neat. She gets glimpses of the future. The way she explained the computer was pretty neat. A screen in front of a typewriter. Very cute. Terry calls that black space between time and space the void, which we kind of know in general, right? The little water where she meets 11. Great. So season 1 was November of 83. And the kids were in 6th grade, something like that, right? They were in middle school. So they were like 11, right? fall of 83. They had to have been around 11. The age of 11, not the character 11. Second season was same thing, fall of 84, because it was all about the 1 year anniversary of Will's, disappearance. So it was the Halloween episode, then we go into November and stuff happens, right? Then season 3 is the summer of 85. We know that because it takes place during the summer, right? Season 3's finale takes place on 4th of July. I watch it every 4th of July because the fireworks outside with fireworks on the screen, that immersion doesn't happen unless you watch it on the 4th of July. So that's why I watch it on the 4th of July. And so then season 4 takes place March of 86 on Will's birth date, which the Duffer Brothers did not plan, but it happened anyway. So the kids they just started high school in 86, right? So in 1986, the kids started high school. In 1986, the kids have to have been within their 14th year of 14 going on 15, give or take, right? If they're in 9th grade. 86. So you count backwards, okay? So if because Elle and Will are in the same class, the same exact class, the March of 86 at that new high school in California before spring break, okay? So we're counting backwards, right? So 14 years old is primarily the average age of a 9th grader, okay? So 14 in the year 86, 13 in the year 85, 14 in the year 84. What did I say? 16, 14, 13, 12, excuse me. 14 in 86, 13 in 85, 12 in 84. That means all of our characters, including 11, were 11 in 83. 83 minus 11 is 72. 11 was born in 1972 per the math of the characters and the grades that the kids are all in that we've been given within the TV series. 1972. Can someone explain to me why Elle was born in the summer of 70 in this book? No. Idiots. I don't understand. How hard is it to keep track of a timeline? I don't get it. I don't get it. I had this problem talking with certain R.L. Stine Goosebumps books because I didn't understand why certain aspects of sequel books were wrong. I don't get it. Who approves of these things? I don't understand when you're adding to a franchise, right? In this case, it's a prequel. It's not even a sequel. It's a prequel. And it's not even a spin-off. It's a prequel, okay? It's an actual prequel of characters we already know. Partially. How do you screw up 2 years worth of information? The math is not mathing with this book. I don't even, people could say, oh, it came out in 2019 and season 4 didn't come out yet. I was like, okay, great. Wonderful. The kids are in 6th grade in the first season. Okay? How old are you in 6th grade? You're 11 going on 12. How in the hell would 11 be 13 years old as that tiny little petite child crawling through the storm drains eating burgers at Benny's? That is not a 13-year-old. No, mathematically that's an 11-year-old. I don't get it. And I'm afraid because I knew in the beginning, and when I started reading this, I was like, something's not right. Something's not right with the time, and I couldn't figure it out. And it's so funny because one of the test subjects, Ken, is psychic, and he goes into this whole, I can't see it on command. It's just these feelings and things, and like it happens, right? So while I'm reading this book, and it's taking me a while to read this book because I keep getting these feelings that it's like the math's not mathing, and I couldn't figure out why the math wasn't mathing yet until the doctor that Terry visits says you're probably about 7 months pregnant. And I was like, who the what? 7 months pregnant in the summer of 70? I don't think so. And then Brenner forces an induced labor, and that was a whole thing in general. So she's born prematurely in the summer of 70 in this book. No. Math matters. Hashtag math matters. 11 had to have been born in 1972. For her to be then 11 years old in 83, 12 years old in 84, 13 years old in 85, and then a freshman in high school, 14 years old in 86. Bruh, I am so nervous for these 4 other Stranger Things books. The Runaway Max, Rebel Robin, Lucas on the Line, and Flight of Icarus. Those are the 4 that I have next. That's why I keep pointing over here. I'm so nervous because I don't want to be disappointed while reading these. And the 2 books that we've read so far, I've been disappointed. I really liked the first book that we read in the Stranger Things book marathon that we've been doing since the beginning of January. The Hawkins Horrors. It was like the short stories all the kids were telling in a blackout. I thought that was great. Didn't mess with the timeline. It was just the kids being kids, swapping ghost stories, like in between, what did we say? Season 3 and 4. Thought it was great. Wonderful. Top tier compared to the other 2 that we just read. And I'm so nervous because Runaway Max is her like prior to coming into a scene for season 2 and then season 2 stuff. Rebel Robin, I have no idea. Lucas on the Line, couldn't tell you. And then Flight of Icarus, I'm assuming it's Eddie's stuff prior to us meeting him in season 4. But like, I'm so concerned for these 4 books and losing interest in reading them because of how horribly butchered the timeline was within reading this, and how long and agonizing and painfully unnecessary the Jim Hopper book was. It was like 400 something pages, 4 pages worth why the sky was blue and the grass was green. Relevant. I don't get it. I don't get it. I know there's no such thing as perfection. I know I expect too much from too many people. But, like, this is an amazing franchise. An amazing franchise. I'm obsessed with this franchise. I have Steve Harrington's hair tattooed on my arm. Which arm is it? It's this arm. Right here. Steve Harrington's hair. It was a moment. And I took the moment. However many years ago that was. So I'm branded, right? I'm branded with this franchise. And I hold this franchise dear. And when someone got paid to destroy the franchise in regards to not proper storytelling, why am I not hired to do these things? I don't get it. I pay attention to a multitude of things, and I know I'm not the only one paying attention to a multitude of things. So why is it? But my problem is, and we're gonna just, as the book falls on the floor, my problem is I pay too much attention. This is what I've noticed. I pay attention to certain things in books that people are like, huh, now that you mention it. And I had this moment in regards to the new Eli Roth Thanksgiving film, the 2023 film that just came out, which is now streaming on Netflix and doing phenomenal. Milo Manheim is in this. Milo's amazing. And so this horror film is incredible. We talked about this when it first came out. And I didn't want to wait till next Thanksgiving to talk about it because it was a really good story. And the thing that no one else noticed, aside from me, there's 2 killers in the film. When the main guy in his John, whatever the hell his last name was, Plymouth Mask costume is holding the girl hostage and has the weapon to her, and like he then has the phone to the other kids, like showing their friends tied up at the Thanksgiving table at that cottage or whatever that they're all eventually getting to, for the killer to reveal his master plan. Who is on the other phone, right? If the killer himself is holding the phone, who's on the other phone? FaceTiming. Who's on the other phone going like this from kid to kid? Who's holding the other phone? There's obviously a second killer. And the whole clown thing in regards to the parade, there had to have been a second killer. What's his face couldn't change that quick. So who was on the other line? Who was holding the second phone? And when I bring this up to people who watch Thanksgiving, they're like, you're right. I have to watch it again. I see these things in real time. I see it when it happens, and it drives me crazy that people can't see these things. I don't know why, because it's right there. But I guess I process things faster. I don't know. So as I bend down to get the book, and it came broken, so I actually had to tape it, which I don't mind. You know, some crazy glue and some tape. It fixed it. It did its job. I refuse to ever read this again. But the problem that I have with reading and watching things now is that I pay too much attention. And when your story doesn't match the story that it's supposed to, if it's a continuation or a prequel, we got problems, bro. We got problems. So in regards to Stranger Things Suspicious Minds, I got problems because there's the 2-year deficit, which makes absolutely no sense. And I want answers. I want financial compensation to the mental loss that I've received while trying to garnish logical reasoning behind the stupidity and asininity of the incompetence of the individuals behind this book. Thank you. I rest my case. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.